I'm a simple man, ladies and gentlemen. When we see for hires, we jump at the opportunity to cover them. So, we're going to be looking at a box tournament that was 6 rounds of Swiss, which there were over 30 people in attendance for this. And this deck went 6-0 in Swiss, which you're probably already like, what the fuck? Yeah. So all 3 of these lists were sent in to me from a box tournament. I don't have the side deck for a couple of these because they weren't given to me or passed along. But I do want to note that Super Poly is very much present in this side deck. So you can kind of test that theory for how you will. But for hire in the year 2019, actually sporting off the Link Monster in here as well. So kind of what's going on with this deck. How did we get here? Well, I don't know how we got here. I don't know how this deck goes 6-0, especially at a 30-man event, but, you know, that's okay. So Mr. Beat, you know, during your main phase, you can special summon 1 for hire from your hand. 95% of these all have that effect. Another for hire special summon, you get to add a for hire from your deck to your hand. So this is our Rhoda, which is really good. During your main phase 1, if you can special summon 1 for hire monster from your hand. If a monster was special summoned, while you control this card, you can target 1 for hire in your graveyard, special summon in defense mode, but place it on the bottom of the deck when it leaves the field. So this is our extender. I actually really wish that this was a tuner also for the deck, but you know, we can't win them all. So this is just another extender for the deck. That's actually pretty cute. We have triple copies of the Bravo Fighter for hire. We get to increase all of our for hires by 500 when we special summon another one while we control him. This actually allows for the access. It gives us game, actually. This guy coding on a field actually allows us to push further, which is actually really good. I like that. Then we have triple copies of Donpa. Donpa allows us to target a face-up card on the field and destroy it. And then I believe that's it. And we also get the special summon. So that's pretty standardized. We have 2 copies of the Scout. This lets us target a set card on the field and destroy it. Nobody's setting anything in this format besides back row, so he's not as important. We have the 2 copies of the Strategist, so lets us target a for hire monster graveyard and recur it back to our hand. So I guess turn 2 shenanigans, really. We have the 2 copies of the Helmsman. This one lets us discard 1, draw 1. I don't think this one's even that good. This is the broken guy. So this card is special summon, you excavate the top cards of your deck equal to the number of for hires you control with different names, except for Raphael. And then if you do, you get to add 1 of them to your hand. And then when your opponent's monster effect is activated, you can discard a card to negate that activation. I just never understood why we didn't include the effect for him to negate, but I understand that we can't have all effects being broken. The 1 copy of Wiz, if this card is special summon, you get to gain 500 life for each of your for hires. And when your opponent activates a spell trap card effect, you discard a for hire to negate the activation. I mean, she sets at 1600, which is kind of bad. She's more of a defensive user. We have the 1 Sagita. This card is special summon. You get to ping your opponent for 500. Oh, hey, so this deck can actually stall into time. But really, like, what are you doing in time, though, with this deck? Like, that's my question. Like, but what do you do, though? And then we have triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring and triple copies of Ghost Ogre. I feel this is very standard. We have triple copies of Called by the Grave, 1 copy of Monster Reborn, 1 Hornet Drones, 1 Upstart, 1 for 1. 1 order, we have the 1 copy of Mayhem for hire, target for hire in your graveyard, special summon in defense mode. Oh man, our Monster Reborn is in defense mode. That sucks. We have 1 copy of Instant Fusion. The extract down here, we have 1 Diplexer Chimera, 1 Salaman Great Violet Chimera, 1 Starving Venom, 1 Borreload, triple copies of Fogo, of course, 1 Decode Talker, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Phoenix, 1 Cerberus, 1 copy of Ib, 1 Security Dragon, 1 Underclock Taker, and 1 copy of Link Kribo, wrapping up this list. Like I said, this is pretty interesting. I will give credit where credit is due for this. It's very good to see that for hires are actually able to do something in this format. I don't think a lot of people have messed around with the idea of this deck just being an explosive deck. I mean, our hand trap counts in the current format are kind of down at the moment, which doesn't really shock me all that much, just because like players don't want to take the initiative to try to outplay things. So that's one thing. Now, next up on our list was a train list that went 4-2 in the tournament, making top 8. So let's talk a little bit about trains here. So we've seen trains. I've seen both pure and the version not wanting to explore this. We have one missing card on this. I don't know if the file just didn't translate it over or if it didn't save, but we do have the 39 card version here. So that is something to kind of fill in for your understanding. But we do have the one missing card, and I'm still going to cover it even though we're missing that, because the players that look at these decks for the concepts will be able to fill in and be like, oh, okay, we're going to play this. Little tech choices like that. So we have 2 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 1 copy of Doggoron, 2 copies of Phantasme, triple copies of the Flying Pegasus Railroad Stampede, pretty standard actually. We have 1 copy of Gadarla, 2 copies of the beautiful Gnome material. Say no to lawn gnomes, kids. We have triple copies of the Heavy Freight Train Derek Crane, 1 copy of the Jizukuru, 2 copies of the Night Express Knight. I kind of think this might be the missing card. It's probably a third of this. We have 1 copy of Ruffian Railcar. I've always noticed that decks don't want to play more than this. This card's kind of booty, I've noticed. We have 1 copy of the Shadal Beast, 1 copy of the Hedgehog, triple copies of the Super Express Bullet Train. Spells, we have triple Called by the Grave, 1 Monster Reborn, 2 copies of Desires. Do not play 3 Desires in this deck. You're going to bulk yourself down so hard. We have triple copies of Revolving Switchyard, 2 copies of Shadal Fusion, 2 copies of Twin Twister, and triple copies of Urgent Schedule, wrapping up the main deck, minus the 1 card. Down here in the extra deck, we have 1 copy of Underclock Taker, 1 Cleafor to Genius, 1 copy of Platinum Gadget, 1 copy of Pentastag, 1 copy of the Phoenix, 1 copy of Mermaid, 2 copies of the Juggernaut Libby, 2 copies of the Gustav Max, 1 copy of the Galaxy Destroyer, 2 copies of the number 81, and 1 copy of Shekanaga. You're not going to ever go into more than 1 of this, I feel. Like, when you start overextending and things like that with your Shadal engine, I mean, you're 2 cards splashed here. So we have 1 Mega Fleet. Side deck, we have 2 copies of Cyber Dragon, 2 copies of Prankatops, 1 Twin Twister, triple copies of Different Dimension Ground, 1 copy of Imperator, triple copies of Red Reboot, and triple copies of Typhoon, wrapping this up. Like I said, the splash in the Shadal engine definitely gives this deck life. And because we're kind of able to mess around with the Shadal engine, actually makes this deck better. Especially since we can do shenanigans with this. But it is easy access to a level 10 that does give you additional effects. Which, I mean, come on. Like, we like value, right? Like, why would we ever complain about maximize value? And the last list we have from this event is actually a Danger Lunalight list. This also went 4-2 in the event, screeching on in the top 8. Doesn't really shock me. Lunalights, after the loss of rank up Magic, really did take a back seat in the format. Now, that's not a bad thing. The deck is still very much here. It's kind of more like an OTK deck at this point. I honestly think that like the best players are the ones that are kind of messing around with the concept of the deck at this point, so that's kind of something to take out. Also, there is supposed to be an Azathoth floating around in here in the side deck. We actually don't main deck that. I don't know why, but not my Lunalight deck. So we have triple copies of the Danger Tsuchinoko, which is pretty standard. Triple copies of Jackalope. We have triple copies of Nessie. Yeah, we're really packing in that Danger engine. It's really good. We have triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. Triple copies of the Lunalight Tiger. We have triple copies of the Kaleido Chick. We have 2 copies of the Lunalight Mantern. 2 copies of Prankatops. In a world where going second is optimal, I do like Prankatops. Like, good little guy. We have 1 copy of Lunalight Wolf. 1 copy of the Black Sheep, Search for Polly. LOL, that we don't even play. 1 copy of the Emerald Witch. We have 1 copy of the Zephyros the Elite. 1 copy of Mothman. Triple copies of Perfume. Triple copies of Tenki. Triple copies of Foolish Bill Goods. 2 copies of Twin Twisters. Triple copies of Imperm. And 1 copy of the Serenade Dance. Down here in the extra deck, we have 1 copy of Abyss Dweller. 1 copy of Gaga Cowboy. 1 copy of Tornado Dragon. 1 copy of the Force Strix, 1 Nyarla, 1 Tiger King, 1 Darumidal, 1 Curious, 1 Beat Cop, 1 copy of the Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Phoenix, 1 Boral Sword, 1 Abermax, 1 copy of the Panther Dancer, and 1 copy of the Lunalight Leo. Pretty sure the 43rd card in here is supposed to be Polly, by the way. So, just the things I'm sent some days. But for hires, going 6-0, and then just losing in top 8. That's some infuriating salt right there, if I've ever seen it. Guys, please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think about these lists. Some interesting starting points for players that want to test out some interesting theories at this current point in time. And, well, guys, that's all I got for this video. I'm out, guys. The ride never, well, truly ends. Thank you, patrons. Without you guys, I don't know what I'd be wearing in these videos. I might be a truffle shuffle incident all over again. Guys, please also check out VanCole40 for some awesome Vanguard content. Some other interesting stuff you might find up here on the left or in the description as well. Thanks for watching.